Namhlanje we are going to focus on vermiculture, which is the production of ama-worms. Namhlanje sikhuluma ngayo ukuthi ama-worms multiply kanjani abe maningi so that sizodayisa wona, not compost. Then tomorrow we'll move to compost and also other things as well. So asibuke mhlawumbe ukuthi ama-worms adingani. I call these ama 5 essentials. These are the 5 things that you need. These are compulsory. This is what you need for you to, or things that you need to control rather. So the first one, it's your bedding. Just think about your house, ephelele nje, ene sitting room, ne bedroom, ne kitchen, and everything. Ama-worms anjengawo nje, they need bedding. Bedding ila yahlala khona. Masithi bedding ila yahlala khona ama-worms, basically. Ukuthi leyo material injani. It's either umquba noma la yahlala khona. Kunjani. Just like ungekulala embedeni unameva, nama-worms kanjalo, ngeke uwafake la meva and then izinto angithi ama-worms yabona sensitive kanjani. So whatever you put in there kumele ibe nama characteristics athize that we will discuss. And then okwesibili udinga i-feed. I-feed ile ulokho uzodliwa ama-worms. Ama-worms adlana, ama-worms akho adla ini, adla umquba oyikaphu, adla awenkomo noma adla amaqabunga noma adla ama-kitchen scraps, whatever. Basically ukuthi mawufuna nje ukusimplify ukuthi ama-worms adlani, worms eat waste. That's all they eat. But not yonke i-waste also. People, they just put in, especially laba benza i-domestic worm farming, bafaka yonke into nje. You don't just put everything in your worm bed, especially if you remember that you are farming commercial now. So ma you farm commercial, you can't just do no ease, you can't just do anyhow. So ama-worms, they need feed. However, the reason why I said bedding you can do without, because if usebenzisa manures, for example, your sheep, cattle, then you don't need bedding because it can act as both. It is your bedding and also your feed, which I think as a farmer, understanding the time and also energy is very much critical in your farming process. You would need something as simplify nje izinto. Angidinge bedding, ngidinga into ezoyifaka once ezokwenza izinto eziwu2 ngesikhathi esisodwa. So your manures ama-worms ahlala khona aphinda adle yona futhi. So mangathiwa i-case la ufaka khona i-bedding, that's where umbhede wakho sizobona uma ngabe sesikhuluma about the structures and how to build your bed, the systems that are involved as well. Uthi ukhanda kanjani khona mhlambe uthola ukuthi uzoqale mhlambe afaka amaqabunga ngiyalinganisa. Mhlambe afaka amaqabunga abuye mhlambe afake umquba, mhlambe afaka yabo layers of things. Mangabe ufaka ama layers of things, that's where you consider your bedding. Ukuthi mhlambe amaqabunga awafaki as feed as such. It's not feed. It's just for ama-worms ukuthi akwazi nje ukuhlala khona aphile, but not ukuthi azodla amaqabunga as such. So that becomes your bedding. But ke idinga uyimasterishe leyo process le, it called continuous flow, but sizokhuluma ngayo, idinga ukuthi uyimasterishe. Most commercial farmers abafama abenza vermicomposting basebenzisa i-continuous flow system. However, not to ukusebenzisa amaqabunga and any other thing, it's still manures, they use manures. Yes. And then udinga aeration, umoya, how you build your structure. Ama-worms akho awekho ejele, so you need to make sure that they can breathe. I mean, even people in jail, they can breathe. So ayadinga ukuthi ngene umoya, oxygen flow iyadinga ukuthi ibe khona. Of which this is one of the things worms are very good at creating kwi-soil structure yakho. Umhlabathi nje onama-worms. Angithi ama-worms ngesikhathi ehamba la they are burrowing. Ngesikhathi eburrowisha they allow more ama-pores for umoya to. That's why umhlabathi onama-worms isitshalo sakhona will be more healthier than isitshalo esinganawo ama-worms. Isitshalo emhlabathini ongenawo ama-worms. There is a farmer in Hilton. No, it's not Hilton. Yes, Hilton. Yes. There's a farmer in Hilton. Akasayisebenzisa i-compost. Umhlabathi wonke wakho nama-worms, utshala ummbila. Mufika nje emhlabathini ukhipha ama-worms. Does not use the fertilizer at all. And then you need the moisture. Ama-worms, they need a lot of moisture. Lokhu sisazoxoxa ngakho sesingena in details. But what I can say for now, moisture yakho, i-moisture content, once yehla i-moisture content yaba less than 50%, that is a very critical condition. You don't want it ukuthi yehle ibe less than 50%. Lapho umunye uyazibuza ukuthi manje ngikala kanjani ukuthi amanzi mangani noma there are instruments that we sell that you can buy from us. Uyayifaka nje, it's a probe. Uyifake ikutshela ukuthi i-gauge yakho ithini in terms of i-moisture level ukuthi kumanzi kangakanani. But basically the easiest way nje yokuqala le yanto unganayo instrument kumele mawufaka isandla sakho la kumquba wakho and then you squeeze like this, you need to water needs to sip la, that is wet enough. And then okunye kwesifafo okudingayo, you need protection. Akhona ama-threat kuma-worms. Ubaba ubuzile ukuthi iziphi lezi ezinye inunu zikhona inunu oyidingayo, zikhona ongazidingi nje in your worm bed. If izinto enjengamagundane, if amagundane angabona la kuhlala khona ama-worms, it's a party. Yes. Birds, chickens, enkukhu-ke nje, it's a party. Yes, it's a party. Ama-red ants, intuthwane ey'bomvu, they fight with worms. So, but nakhona kulula ukucontrol izinto ezilula nje ukuyicontrol sizosibona. I-bedding yakho, let's say mhlambe nje you are interested ukuthi hayi mina ngizokwenza ama-layers and ngifuna umbhedo wami uthi kuba fencing, awu khona i-material engizoyifaka is-bedding bese ngifaka i-feed, yabo nje izinto ezikanjalo. Oqala udinga i-material that has i-high absorbency. I-material ekwazi ukwabamba amanzi ahlale ingawakhiphi. The reason for that, angithi umbhedo wakho ama-worms uyawu-irrigate njalo ufaka amanzi. So uma uzothola i-material ekwazi ukubamba amanzi, that means you irrigate less, you spend less in water. But uma uthola i-material uthi uma ufaka amanzi avela aphume same time, shuthi kuzokoma fast and then you'll need more water and more water and more water, which is very costly as well. Remember now ukuthi when as a commercial farmer you account for each and every cost. Noma kuthiwa wathola mahhala amanzi, but when you do your financials and everything, you need to factor in those numbers. The reason for that ukuthi i-material ihlale, amanzi ahlale kuyo, so that izoba manzi. Ngathi la khona ama-worms la phakathi, kumele ibe manzi. Ama-worms they breathe through their skin. So i-skin sabo kumele sihleze si-clear every time. Kumele kube khona ama-particles abambezelelayo la. If it's dry izogcina kubambelele, kanti uma ngabe kumanzi ngesikhathi ahamba kuyashwiblika nje. So that the skin remains clear. Then bakwazi ukubreathe, they breathe through their skin. They don't have like amakhala njengami nomlomo as such, neindlebe mhlawumbe ngeke uzoyibona. Yes. Iworm ikhanda nama ngilazi likuphi, mifuna ukushona ngaphi ishona ngapha, ayijiki, misifuna ukuya le ishona le. So it's really interesting, ayijiki it then yele, misifuna ukushona le angazi ikhanda isuke I don't know how it happened, but yeah, that's how it moves. Yes. And also you need a material that has good bulking potential. Good bulking potential basically, ufuna i-material ukuthi, for example, uma ngifuna ukugcwalisa umbhedo wami 3 square meters. Mathiwa ngiyabheka mhlawumbe i-comparison between ama-materials awu-2 that you can use. Asesithi mhlawumbe i-manure, mhlawumbe namaqabunga. Amaqabunga uma uwafaka in your worm bed azogcwala faster than i-manure. They have good bulking potential. Ayashesha ukugcwala endaweni. So you don't use more. So I understand. Umquba wakho uzowafaka nje amasaka lokhu wafakile because in a 3 meter bed you'll need at least 35 bags, yes, of umquba awu 50 kgs nakhona. Yes. Now what futhi umquba ufana oyinkomo, you will put more than oyingulube kanjalo, but oyinkukhu asosebenzisa uyashisa, but we will discuss that. So udinga material that has good bulking potential, nakhona futhi ingabi dense kakhulu. Mabe uyifakile wa irrigate ama ingabi iba dense yahlangana kuba mawusuyithatha ngathi siwudaka ohlangene njengobumba. Remember ukuthi ama-worms they need oxygen, so la kumele kube khona oxygen flow. Mase kuhlangene njengobumba, that is a problem. Even the worms themselves can't move around, so kumele akwazi ukumove. So ingabi dense kakhulu i-material yakho, kube material nje ekahle. And then also you need a material that is low in protein or in nitrogen content. We call this your nitrogen ratio, your carbon nitrogen ratio. Our chemist can tell us better about such things. But basically also kubheka i-ratio yakho between your nitrogen content and your carbon content. What we usually say, you can overdose carbon, but you can't overdose nitrogen. The reason for that is nitrogen yashisa and it can burn your worms. Yes. The carbon, if ucabanga carbon, to simplify it, ngoba thina siwona ama-scientist, to simplify it, in this case carbon is everything that is brown. Brown leaves is carbon. Cardboards, it's carbon. Ama-worms, they do eat carbon. Ama-cardboards. There is a lot of things ama-worms azidlayo. These are very interesting. When we discuss feeds, you understand. But i-material yakho kumele wenze sure ukuthi the nitrogen level is low, the carbon level can be noma kuthiwa ingakanani carbon level akunankinga. Yes. So asina instrument yokutesta leyanto, but ikhona iprocess othatha imaterial yakho leyo ozoyifeed ama-worms, then you take that material, you undergo that process so that you can solve that, especially if usebenzisa ama-manures. Manures are very high in nitrogen content. Umquba nje noma kuthiwa one uphuma nje esilwaneni nje. That is why wenkukhu singawusebenzisi. Umquba wenkukhu ungalibhoyila iqanda, fake nje phakathi ulishiye khona, and come back, you can actually boil an egg. That's how hot it is. Mabe uthena nje uthi, you can uyasibona isteam siphuma into it. That's how hot it is. That's why we don't use it. Now futhi oyenkomo uyashisa, no-wake up futhi uyashisa wonke, so you need to take it. Awazi ukuthatha ufake direct in your worm bed. Kumele uqale udlulise kwi-process ethize, amanzi nje ubaba esho, which is part of the process, but we call that process pre-composting. So mangithi pre-composting ngikhuluma ngalokho. I-facilitator will be facilitator kusasa, as much as I love speaking, but angikhuluma 2 days. So facilitator will be facilitator kusasa, yena akasho ukuthi pre-composting uthi composting. So mayithi composting ukhuluma nge-pre-composting. Then mayise khuluma nge-compost ama-worms uthi vermicomposting uthi worm composting. That's the same term. Yes. Yes, so basically there is your bedding. If nje ubheka imaterial yakho uthi ama-worms amzowafakela nesbedding, udinga imaterial ene-absorbent that is high, yakwazi ukuwabamba amanzi ahlale isikhathi eside. Also a-material that has good bulking potential, ezokwazi nje ukuthi as much as ingazi ukuba dense ihlangane, but izokwazi nje ukuthi igcwalise ispace. And then also udinga material that has low nitrogen content. Carbon content, it can be as high as you like it. Now, looking at feed, ama-worms, they will eat almost anything that is organic. Basically, into organic, something that can move from one state to another. So that is organic, basically. So each, it's not organic. There is nothing you can do with each. That's why soil, as much as in inhlabathi, particles, the entire process but inhlabathi can't move from one state to another. That's why worms can't eat soil. So but as much as they can eat almost everything that is organic, they prefer ukudla okuthize. Yes, they can. It's like, you know, but so you have your preference and then you have whatever that you can eat. So as a farmer, you want to make sure, remember what you won't be happy, and even yourself you won't be that much good. So ama-worms, you want to make sure that you give them their preferences. So waqala, now under ideal conditions, for a reason. It's important to understand that under ideal conditions, a worm will eat its body weight. If the conditions are ideal conditions, that means perfect. One thing that I will say, honestly speaking, it is hard to create perfect ideal conditions, like as in to the T, like to the dot, perfect. It's hard to do that. You need experience to do that. It's not something that you're just gonna wake up and do. Or else, at least if you're a good farmer, each worm should eat its half of its body weight, at least every day. And also, most of the time, worms will eat your manures, in fact, internationally, most farmers, they use manures to feed their worms. Worms are fresh food scraps, but engekho state of being fresh. Mele aqale athi decay kancane ukubona udle makusaqala hayi masekubolile. Makusaqala ukuthi saphuma that mold thing, then awukudli nje ukudla ku fresh noma lithatha yabo mama uqoba ekitchen noma uphila, all those ama-worms ayakudla konke lokho. However, you can't take it as fresh as it is ukufake phakathi. You can't, angeke azakudla azokulinda, but the problem is esalindile ayalamba. So that's why you can't put it fresh. You need to pre-compost it first. We will talk about how to do that as well. Now, as our manures, let us just look at our manure so that sizo understand. Mhlambe sibuke just the lawa awu-3 nje ajwayelekile. This is what we use eplazini. Monga now umquba, you can buy it as well. Siyawudayisa nawo. Also pre-compostiwe. The next thing about it is also pre-compostiwe. So it's something that you have uyithathe uyifake and start your farm right away. So you don't need that month or 2 weeks or 2 months, depending which material kinjan. You don't need that time to pre-compost. But if we now, we really recommend and also promote to go to first, before you can buy anything, use what you have before uye ngaphandle uyothenga. So if you look at sheep manure, umquba wamagusha or ikapu, whatever that you call it, it is very good nutrition for worms. It also in a absorbance, right, and the bulking potential is very good. So most of the time you will find this umquba lo owenkomo nowekapu uyafana. It's the same thing. However, when it comes to performance, from our observations, worms perform better with sheep manure than cattle manure. But cattle manure works just good. But from our observations, sheep manure seems to be really good. And then there's a hog manure or a pig manure or a ngulube. That one has excellent bulking potential. For example, umpete wako omgaga 3 meters long, 1 meter ukuvulega, you need round about 50 to 55 bags of sheep or cattle manure, but for umquba ngulube we'll need just 35. So the bulking potential is very good. And also compost yako thina simplifyile, you can sell in kgs, but according to paper kahle compost is measured in DM cubes, I mean to say. So weight doesn't matter. Ungadayisa into engaka ngo-500 rand because ubala space, not necessarily the weight of it. Ungaba nento nje ene-weight encane, but ngenxa ukuthi igcwale indawo enkulu, uthola ukuthi you sell more. But thina we have simplified it because ugogo sekhaya mangithi 60 DM cubes of worms cost this much, and I understand. Mase ngiqale ngiyamchazela sengiconfuse kakhulu. So we just simplified it to kgs. Now the principle of vermicomposting is this. What you do now, keep it constant. You can't change it, but for worms you can. Ama-worms ngisebenzisa umquba wekapu manje, next time usebenzise we-sheep. Because remember, into edinga wena ama-worms, makhulu ephila, then that's it. Akunankinga ukuthi adleni. But the compost, what you put in is what you get out. So mawufake umquba wengulube manje, or this month, wa producer your compost. Ngafika mina as a commercial farmer and then I buy your compost this month. Ngihambe ngiyotshala ngayo, or ngitshale ngayo utshani wami okuzograza kuyo livestock, for example, which they love kakhulu. And then ngithi wow, ngibuye kuyo ngithi wow, your product is really good. I would love to buy it again. Mase ngithenga futhi wena usasebenzisa umquba wekapu manje, then the result won't be the same. That's why composting is very complex. You need to, whatever that you use, you need to have a very good source of it. You need to keep it constant. Remember also, compost, whether it's WMT or compost a solid, you need to register it as a registered fertilizer. So now, for you to register it as a registered fertilizer, you need a formula. Ne? So your formula must be constant, because the formula can be tested anytime. Mase bebuye uthola ukuthi wasubmit le formula and then manje so ishintshile and then you did not update, that is crime. So you can't do that. So that's why you need to keep it constant. You keep it constant. So with worms, you can play around with almost anything esebenzayo, but with composting you need to be strict like that. But you have to many times. You can. Sheep manure and goat manure. However, one of our facilitators who's also a worm farmer will tell you that goat manure doesn't work. Try the goat manure on iota doesn't work, so we don't want to try it nati on iota. We have not tried it, it doesn't work or not my yacht, but it's case I talk about sheep manure yasebenza. But what we can recommend is you can try it. It's all up to you, and see what kuhamba kanjani. Hog manure is very good. However, hog manure or pig manure, it is very poor in absorbency. Nzobona mase senza ama practical ukhona umquba wey'nkomo laphana noyikapu nowengulube ngizobona eplazini mangabe ufaka amanzi kulo owey'nkomo and also sheep uyawabamba amanzi ayahlala lo owengulube wafaka phume so you need more water. For example manje mhlambe la ufaka 50 liters of water ngiyalinganisa mhlambe here you might need double. Yeah, but ama-worms they get too excited with it, they like it. Owengulube they get muthanda ngakuxuba ukuthathu akunankinga, it's all up to you. Yes. However, yonke lento le it must undergo the process of pre-composting. First you need to pre-compost it. Mhlambe ke we will discuss ukuthi what is pre-composting kahle hle. Now kunama advantages akhona obviously awe pre-composting. I-pre-composting uthatha umquba wakho whether ulanda esibayeni noma ikuphi. Uyawuthatha ubeka somewhere i-pile, basically wenza i-pile. And then what you do lokho ufaka amanzi nje. Faka amanzi uyawuthena after 2 weeks you turn it. Lokho bekungaphezulu kuba ngaphansi. Uya break it down, ne? So ngesikhathi u break it down remember ukuthi iworm ayikwazi ukuvula umlomo njengami. Like ngeke uzubone ngisho ukubona umlomo weworm ayikwazi ukudla umqubo oyigabathi. So kule process ye pre-composting one of the things that happens it partially breaks down your material. Ukuthi ikwazi ukuba material eyama particles that can be eaten by worms. Yes. That's the first thing that happens. And then also it helps to avoid overheating in vermicomposting systems. That simply means ukuthi it simply means ukuthi ama-worms akho mawenze pre-composting ne angithi umquba uyashisa. So mawuthatha umquba ufresh nje usanda kukhishwa inkomo isilwane ufake in your worm bed ama-worms won't eat it. Instead izokwenza yonke le environment ela phakathi ishisa. Mabe seshisa ke environment phakathi remember what we said ama-worms they always choose self-sufficient and self-management. When your worm bed overheats they pack their bags and then they leave. That's when they leave. That's when they. So you can't, whatever is fresh, don't use it. Don't they put it directly in your worm bed. Yes. Yes. And then it can kill wheat seeds. Now, pathogens, but maybe now let us focus on wheat seeds. This is very important. For vermiculture, it's not much of a problem. But for vermicomposting, it is a problem. Pre-composting, it kills lawo wheat seeds. And it's inkomo zidla utshani, ney'kaphu nakho konke lokho. Mawukudla utshani unama seeds phakathi. Ngesikhathi ukhipha ubulongo obunama seeds phakathi. Lobo bulongo obusebenzisile wena buthatha wafaka in your worm bed or in your worm farm. Waproduce compost without pre-composting it first. The compost izophuma inama-wheat seeds as well. So it's a huge problem. That's why again I say composting is a bit complex. You need to be a professional composter for you to get it right. Yes, so you kill ama-wheat seeds nama-pathogens. Kule process ye pre-composting. Khona ama-pathogens that you don't need laphana or angazi ngachaza ngithina ama-pathogens. But zikhona nezinye inuni that you are going to kill ama-bacteria aphakathi. Because i-pre-composting angithi khona ama-bacteria akwazi ukuphila kahle mhlawumbe endaweni eshisayo for example. Khona akwazi ukuphila kahle endaweni ebandayo. So what you do ngalesikhathi umqubo wakho angithi at its initial state usukushisa so kunama-pathogens athize ngoba lokho akushisa it's their ideal condition, it's their condition abakwazi ukuphila kuyo or ideal environment. Ngesikhathi wena wenza le pre-composting actually wehlisa i-heat, then the environment is not conducive for those pathogens to live there anymore, then they die off. So that's how you kill them laphana kwi pre-composting. So lawa ongawadingi ke in your worm bed mele afe before ufake phakathi kwi worm bed awabulale sephakathi because even intuthwane awukwazi ukuthatha yini blue death yini lento you don't awukwazi ukuyifaka. Anything that is synthetic, anything that is not organic, you don't put it in your worm bed. Ngisho makuthiwa i-condition injani because it's either it's gonna be toxic izobulala ama-worms akho or i-compost ozoyiproduce lapho it's no longer organic. And maso uyidayisa uyibhala ukuthi organic wena ingekho organic icala. Number 2 urobha lo muntu omdayiselayo as well. There are also disadvantages. It requires that you have a yard and space. Not really space is cool, depending on the pre-composting site yakho ingakanani. If we commercial, this is the nice thing about worms. Being a commercial farmer, space is ngaka, you're already a commercial farmer kuma worms. but you can't do that with crops. You can be small-scale commercial farmer. If in a space esingangaleli hall, kuma worms, you are a large-scale commercial farmer. Yeah, because but we will do the numbers because the amounts on our producer la, I don't know, it's equivalent to a space esingakanani saying like you can even multiply this by, I don't know, 10 something. Yeah, but more in the spaces you can rest. More farmer worms. 1 hectare is enough, just one. That's if you're like a serious commercial farmer, worms, like a serious commercial farmer, worms. Yeah. Yes, worms ungaqala kwi backyard kwi spaces ngaka. Ekhaya nje vuza zakhe lombhedo omngaka worms and farm worms, you can. I think space is cool. I think hectares and hectares and hectares. You can scale up. If vermicomposting, if vermiculture, I think space is cool. If vermicomposting, yes, because the more you have spaces, the more you have compost. The more compost you have, more sales. But worms was kufaka amaningi space in. Remember we said it's talking density mangabe wenza worms. Kwi square meter was kufaka a minimum of 10 kgs. Mangabe wenza worms. Maningi lawo worms. In 2 months' time or in 60 days, they double their population. So as about, I say, 20 kgs in a very small space. But mawenza vermicomposting, we think just a quarter of a kg. Mawenza ko mancane, but I produce composting. But the compost, it's all about quantities, bulk quantities. Udinga ukugcwalisa le ndlu ngomquba ukuze ngibe necompost eningi. Ama-worms, I don't need to do that. And also, this one, pre-composting, if ungayenzi kahle, ngenzeka that your condition lapha ngaphakathi or environment lapha ngaphakathi igcina ishintsha from being aerobic to anaerobic. Now that's bad. Ukuthi angifuni ukugcina ngifacilitate le training yakusasa namhlanje. But mhlambe to simplify ama terms lawo aerobic no anaerobic. Masikhuluma ngendawo aerobic sikhuluma ngendawo enomoya, oxygen. Indawo anaerobic, indawo engenawo umoya, basically. There is no oxygen there. Pre-composting, there is a difference between fermentation and composting. Composting happens in the presence of oxygen. You need oxygen for composting to happen. But for fermentation, are we doing oxygen? Phakathi lapho. So remember, another thing also to highlight with pre-composting, khona ezinye inuni ezikusiza to partially break down material yakho. Khona ezinye ozoyithola phakathi nje umqubo wakho. Cala mawuthi sike sawubona umqubo, uneyinuni nje ezihambayo. You need those inside there. So angithi ziyaphila zidinga umoya. If you don't do this process kahle, izoshintsha le ndawo from just being ibe nomoya igcina ingasenawo umoya, and then all those they will die. Once those microorganisms die, your compost as well becomes dead material, which is a problem again. Once we find worms, faka material that is dead. It takes extra effort to get. Ngithi uyi-10 every 2 weeks mele ufaka amanzi njalo uyi-10. Turn it until ibe right, yebo. Sekwenzeke kahle. That's a good question. Kuya ngokuthi u-efficient kangakanani kuyona, nangokuthi material le oqala ngayo injani. Mawuthatha umquba ofresh nje uphume namhlanje sibayeni, it will take you longer. But mawuthatha umquba kade wahlala vele, then pre-composting. Kuyenzeka sometimes uthi awudingi ngisho noku-pre-compost. Mawufika eplazini ucela bekunikeze lo mquba omdala, labo lo mdala. Uthathe wona, but ungabi mdala kakhulu, ungabi no 3 years. But nje umquba omdala, then kuzoba lula. But angeke ngize ngisisho isikhathi exactly. What I can say ukuthi there are some instruments as well that you need to buy ukwazi ukutesta ngayo. Lapha kwi pre-composting enye into eyenzakalayo ususa remember we said obesingakakhuluma ngakho sengithi remember we said indaba ama-worms awayithandi indawo acidic okokuqala. Okwesibili ayethanda indawo ene-salt content eningi. You don't need a lot of salts there, and also other toxic components that can be there. So ngesikhathi ufaka amanzi, you are leaching out all those things. Remember we spoke about the carbon-nitrogen ratio. So I complete CN ratio. We said you can overdose your nitrogen, your carbon, but you can't overdose nitrogen because the nitrogen yashisa and it will burn your worms. So as ufaka amanzi laphana, you're also leaching out that nitrogen elaphana kumqubo wakho, so that umqubo wakho uphume une ratio right. So udinga ama instruments ke ozowasebenzisa that you put in there, a probe izokutshela ukuthi it's acidic. It's not acidic. I-salt content asinayo instrument thina esisebenzisayo for a-salt content. It is not usually a case where you find ukuthi mhlambe your salt content is like really high. Kujwayele ukuthi salt content ibe balance nje when you do your pre-composting right. So most of the time uzokala nge-acidity yakho. Mase ufaka i-probe leyana ikhona sizoyibona your pH moisture meter. It's a 2-in-1. We have a 4-in-1 as well. We have a 3-in-1, color light, moisture, and then basically pH. pH basically kutshela nje ukuthi ku-acidic kangakanani la noma ku-alkaline kangakanani. So uma uyifaka phakathi mayisithi hayi isi within the range that we will discuss, then siyabona and then I can put it in my worms. However, awuvele uthathe noma even the pH instrument ikutshela ukuthi pH right. Awuvele umqubo uthathe futhi uphake phakathi. Ungasifaka isandla uze ukuthi is it still hot. If it's hot, then you continue the process. Mawuse ubonza usupholile then usiyawufaka. Nakhona mawuse ufaka ungavele wakho umbhede omude and then uthatha umqubo ufake phakathi. Kuyenzeka iPH meter ithi everything is perfect. Uthi mawufaka isandla kupholile, ufaka ama-worms uthi ama-worms no, we don't like this. It happens. So what you do, you take just a handful of worms. Doesn't have to be a handful. In fact, ama-worms amancane uwabeke phezu kwe-compost yakho. They need to naturally angene ngaphakathi. Mayingena ngaphakathi, they love the environment. If engangeni ngaphakathi emqubeni wakho azolokhu azophuma hamba akutshela ukuthi awayithandi le environment elaphakathi. So ama-worms iwona ama-meter right lawo. Ama-worms, they're always efficient. Remember we said ukuthi ama-worms they eat ama-food scraps but not fresh food. So you can't take fresh food ufake phakathi in your worm bed for ama-reasons amaningi. The first one is uma ufaka ukudla every time la khona ukudla ko fresh yini elandelayo lapha intuthwane impukane mase kuqala ukubola as well, a lot of things. So what happens mangifika ngiyangitshela ukulinganisa ngehlahla sama-benches, those who understand citrus farming or as mhlambe ke fruit farming, if I can put it that way, or ama-orchards. Uma ngabe angithi siyabona ifruit liphuma kanjani, qala kube khona imbali. There is an entire process yama-bees pollinating and doing all of that. Ifruit iqhamuka laphana embalini. So what happens, ibhentshi selibolile liqhamuka kanjani? Ngesikhathi kusase imbali ifika impukane ile an egg inside there. Ibeka iqanda. Ngesikhathi ihlangana ithi kanje. Lihlangana with an egg of impukane phakathi. Impukane ayiveleki ibe impukane, iqale ibe yes. So ngesikhathi uthola ibhentshi selibolile ngakavuthi simply because kunesibungu sesiphila phakathi, but the egg was laid before kuzohlangana ifruit. It's the same thing with ama-worms. Uma ufaka ukudla ku-fresh laphana phakathi and then you attract, mase kuqala ukubola, you attract impukane. Impukane they always lay eggs. They make sure that they lay eggs. So into ezokwenzeka ama-worms akho azokhula with ibungu phakathi. And you don't want that. I would say ibungu mhlambe zizodla ama-worms, but you don't want that basically. I think that ukuba le hygiene eplazini yathanda nje ukuthi kube clean. So you don't want that. So uma ufaka ukudla ku-fresh ile nto yokuqala ezokwenzeka. Esibili intuthwane and all of these things you don't want to complicate your system. However, ke lokho kudla ku-fresh, or again you can undergo it a process kuphume ku-right for the worms to eat them, and ngeke uthole intuthwane, ngeke uthole impukane kukho. We've been talking about composting. Now this process, it's called bokashi making. This is where you thatha yonke lento fresh, you bokashi it, and then iphume isi-feed that you can give your worms. So yonke lento yasekitchen eyi-waste usungagoduka nje. Fika ubathengele bonke omakhelwane, ubathengele imigqomo bonke, ubatshela mase becweca, ubatshela ngizoyilanda mina imigqomo. Ubanikeze nje yonke, ubanikeze. And then uthathe lokho where you can make a feed for ama-worms. But thina we treat ibokashi not as feed as such, but as more of a supplement in a way. It's something that you can do without. But ama-worms ayithanda, they get excited uma ngabe ikhona. Ibokashi ke ayifani ne-composting. I-composting, remember we said it's an aerobic process. Idinga i-oxygen. Ibokashi, it's fermentation. Awuyidingi oxygen, but sizoyenza nje ibokashi plaza nizoyibona ukuthi yenziwa kanjani. What you do, uthatha ama-food scraps wakho wonke lawa uwafake. This is a bokashi bean that you can buy. Inje, you can use ibhakethi. Muthanda ungashaya ibokashi ngaka, it's all up to you. Thina sisebenzisa amabhakede kanje. You can use almost anything. I would recommend that you use a bean, a bokashi bean, ngoba inompompi. Nompompi wakhona ongena la. You will also see the reason why kube khona umpompi. So this is where you put in your food scraps phakathi. So into yenzayo maningi ke lama products sizoyidiscuss ukuthi how do you make ibokashi so that sizokwazi ukuthi si understand kahle. So you use ibokashi bran. Ibokashi bran ilokho sikubona la. This is ibokashi bran. This is what you use. Ibokashi bran. Ibran ile ama cornflakes ama-worms ke lawo. These are your cornflakes for worms. Ibokashi bran that you use to make ibokashi yakho. So what you do nje ufaka usebenzisa, I call it i-baker. It's a baker method. Athi ayekho ngayedla i-baker la. Ngabunamanga ngingaqala ngikhipha ama-baker manje. So basically what you do, you fill in your bucket with food waste. But you don't just fill in. Your first layer, uqala ufake your bokashi. So just take a handful, we spread and just around the bucket lakho on the surface ezansi of your bucket. And then ufake a layer. It can be just a layer, number 2 layer nje engaka ye waste. You compact it. Why you compact? Ufuna kuphume wonke lo moya. Remember, this is fermentation. You have to make sure ukuthi ayikho oxygen lapha phakathi. Then mase ufakile if ama-waste yakho, ama-food scraps or whatsoever, and then you put another layer futhi again ye-bokashi bran. You spread it, and then another layer of waste, then another layer yelokhuzana. So ezansi uqala nge-bokashi bran, phezulu ugcina nge-bokashi bran as well. And then uyalivala ibhakede lakho leliyana or ibokashi bean leyana. You don't open it up until kuphele 2 weeks. You leave it for 2 weeks, you don't open it. Angithi mawuvula ngene oxygen, then it's no longer fermentation. So awuvuli. Siright ngefeed. Then we go to aeration, umoya. One of the things engihighlightile ukuthi uma ngabe ufaka into fresh njengenyama, ngesikhathi ibola inyama, the environment laphana changes from aerobic to anaerobic. Sika understandile lokho. So that means it changes from being environment enomoya iye ku-environment enganayo oxygen. And then that means ama-worms akho will suffocate because awasakwazi ukuphefumula. That's why you can't put in fresh material, especially meat or anything that is greasy. That's why again udinga i-material in a bulk potential right. I-material ezokwazi ukugcwala but ingahlangani like ezini ibambani. Mase kuubumba, then the oxygen can't really flow, and then also that is a problem. So this is one of the things that can kill your worms very quick, like as in very, very, very quick. So it's something that you really need to guard or control kahle. And also that cutting highlights this is why you don't include this in a greasy waste or inyama phakathi, because yonke le environment izoshintsha. Ngisho noma ukhanda nje umbhede wakho akudingi ukuthi uziwavalela ama-worms like as in completely ukuthi umoya ungasangeni. Kumele kube khona indawo uzokwazi ukungena kuona umoya. So basically we are trying to copy nature, trying to create an environment that is natural as you can go natural like as possible if uzithola indlela. And then this one is very important. Ujohn Kusasa he loves this part number 4, moisture. I highlighted ukuthi uma ngabe moisture content yakho yaba less than 50%, that is critical. For ama-worms akwazi ukusurvive kwi moisture up to 85%. it is very hard to drown them, but they do drown. Iyakwazi nje kwa drown, drown. Amanzi asemaningi akudingeki phela kugcine sekumfula. But kwazi nje ukuthi kube moist. Yes, kube manzi, kube moist. So 70 to 90% they can go up. Like 90% of water is like amanzi. It's almost 100% amanzi nje wabona now amanzi. Yes, like you need that much water. Ngiyazi ke when we have our embeds, it's not like every time uzwathola enjalo. Like awazi ukuhlalisa amanzi nje. Because uma ukhanda umbhedo wakho uzobona masasi wakha laphana une drainage ekugcineni kwawo. Lamanzi muwafaka kumele at the same time ingakho udinga material ene absorbency. Remember we spoke about high absorbency. So mele imaterial ikwazi ukubamba amanzi ahlale kuyo imaterial but angahlala embhedeni. Like muwafaka ngasali dam ngaphansi because you will drown your worms. And also uma ngabe amanzi esemaningi, that means there is less space for oxygen as well. It's a problem again. So mele akwazi ukuphuma. We spoke about vermiculture or leachate yakhumbula that seepage. Mele ikwazi ukuphuma amanzi, mele umbhedo wakho mele ube ne drain ukwazi ukuphuma angahlali but imaterial ibiwabambile. Yes. Otherwise you will drown your worms. That is moisture nje ibalekile kakhulu. Also moisture is very critical. Ama worms akho shema ungaphakela ukudla kungayanani, if the moisture is not enough they won't effectively reproduce. Moisture is that critical. Remember also stay aphefumula ngeskin ama worms. So indawo yakho kumele ihlezi moist so that when they move kube nje kuba ngathi kuyasuleka nje. So that skin it needs to be clear always azokwazi ukuthi akwazi ukuphefumula ngaso. Temperature is very important as well. We highlighted ukuthi in warm season like summer, reproduction yama worms ithukushesha or iba hype ama worms. But masuqala ungena ko winter sekuqala ukubanda, they don't stop reproducing and they don't die as such, but reproduction yawo ithi ukwehla kancane. But there are ways that you can do this. Just like with tunnel you can create your own heat, naku embed you can. This main thing is kati ebuza ama electric blankets when down to buzela ma web. You can if you have money or file ama electric blankets nje. That's about right. But whatever cooling or heating system that you can put in there, ungakwazi ukuthi uyifake. Akunankinga ukuthi ufakani. Ungakwazi ukuthi uyifake. Abanye basebenzisa ama infrared lights lawa basebenzisa kuma poultry houses to warm up the place. Uma ngabe kubanda you can do that. Ama infrared into ezocost ugesi ke lapho ke. Uyakwazi ukusebenzisa a heater as well if ukwenza indoors. Even i-brooder le inkukhu i-gas brooder you can use that to warm your so that you have summer wena unyaka wonke. Also masekushisa kakhulu futhi aba-worms they don't like that as well, so you need to cool it, but you don't need a cooling system unless you want to be fancy. What you need uvela ufaka amanzi masekushisa kakhulu uvela ufaka amanzi and then uphole kumbhedo wakho ama-worms azoba right. So preferably temperature that is 20 degrees Celsius, so that production yakho at least it can be efficient. Worms also they don't reproduce kuma temperatures that are single digit. That is simply saying ukuthi temperature yakho mayisathi 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There is no reproduction that happens there. Once yakaya to 10, then sekuthi but preferably more of 15 or 20 degrees, that's just fine. Also, ayona temperature ibuke endabeni le. So uma umkhushulwa ethi namhlanje ku 37, it doesn't mean in your own bed it is 37 degrees Celsius. So you have to test your temperature in your own bed. I think we do understand that. Yeah. So I was kubuke endaweni say 37 usemele ngiyokhula uthothi kuyayibandela nje empedeni wakho ama-worms even if it's 40 outside. So you need to test that as well. What I can recommend ukuthi if you want to become like a serious worm farmer like owangempela, do these things efficiently so that you can see ama-worms akho doubling ngempela in 2 months time or even tripling. So like ukwenze nje njengoba usuke ufama inkukhu ukuthi every day kubuhlungu uma ungayiphakelile nama-worms is the same thing. Hamba ufike ucheck the temperature yakho sase right, even pH. Umquba wakho you can pre-compost it uwenze kahle utest i-pH uthi i-pH right uthathu and make your worm bed. But kuyenzeka i-pH ishintshe as time goes on, so you need to balance it, i-pH yakho as time goes on. But we'll talk about pH as well. High temperatures, composting worms can survive temperatures at least in mid-30s. Once the temperature yaqala yathi 35 ikaphezulu, it's a critical condition for ama worms. Believe you me, kade saqala ukuwafama ayikaze ifike laphana ku-35 kancane ngempela ukuthi really izifike ku-35 empedweni wama-worms. Uyayibandela nje umpetho wama-worms. Yes, kancane. I-temperature, it won't be something ezokuhlupha kakhulu. Ebandayo ezokuhlupha, but eshisayo won't. Yes. Which is why now it becomes more an advantage if ukuthi your worm farming uyenza indoors. However, you don't need a fancy structure like this. A simple structure nje, uma unento ivale ngayo phezulu, ngoba ne-shed net eceleni, whatever uzokwazi ukuvala ngayo. Angithi you are trying to make sure ukuthi yonke into uyayicontrola wena. You need to control the amount of rain engenayo, ungaveli kube uthela wayeka. Need to control ukuthi okay, heat engake engenayo. Lapha eplazini we do have a demonstration space indoors, just a simple cheap structure, and then we see now futhi ama structures that are outside. So ndikhona nizobona kahle iplaza esinayo la eNew Hanover, it's a very small farm. Indlela set up ngayo nje, it's more of a training center anyway. Yes. Remember ukuthi say chicken manure iyashisa. So mabuyifaka nje la ngaphezulu yithi hayi kakhulu ngoba it will burn everything, just ukuthi ithi ukuthi nje you can do that if unganayo i-heating system. Uyakwazi ukufaka i-heating system, for example uma ufaka ama-infrared lights or ufake a heater phakathi, hayi zizoshesha kohlezi kushisa vele la kwi-environment. You can do i-heating system if uthanda, or else ngaleso sikhathi, but inkinga lokhu ke kusiza isikhathi esifishane uyakwazi ukufaka amanzi awarm but hayi aboiliwe, hayi abilile. You don't boil your worms, but uyakwazi ukufaka amanzi nje awarm so that umpetho wakho uthi kunyuka kancane temperature. You can do that as well. But mawufaka chicken manure also again, ungabe usuyifaka nje ayoshisa. Yeah. So ama-worms okokuqala they can survive kwi-pH range from 9 to 5. So uma une-scale sakho se-pH, scale se-pH siqala it's your 0 to 14, ne? From u-0 to u-7, I mean from u-0 to u-6 kusuke ku-acidic. U-7 is neutral, it's not acidic, it's not alkaline. Then from u-8 to 14 it's alkaline. So at least i-pH yama-worms wakho ayihlali la ku-5 to 9. Ingehleli ezansi kwa-5, that's too acidic. Kodwa futhi mayisinyukele yako 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that's too alkaline as well. So ayihlale laphana ku-5 to 9. Yeah. Preferably if ingathi ihlale la ku-6 up until 7, mhlawumbe ingayi ngale ku-alkaline. Noma mayiqala ku-alkaline iqale ithi 7, 8, 9, ihlale nje lapho, ingabi sidlula lapho. You can use a pH meter to test that. Now, if food source is alkaline, actually, impact ibe hlungu kangako. It's not much of a problem. Genze uthola nje material yakho uthi uyafaka ibu si-11. It's not like ama-worms azovele abe nenkinga instantly. But if it goes too acidic instantly, you will be affected. Acid is like a no-no. Yeah. Acid. But kukhona ama cases where you need to adjust pH yakho downwards. Kukancane where it's too alkaline, then imele uyehlise. Really, those cases are very rare. Most of the time, uzothola ukuthi acidic kumele uyinyuse. Kulula ke lokho. Ngoba konke njenge-lime, siyazi lime. Yeah, i-lime. But nakhona sebenzisa noma iyiphi lime, there are types of limes. Kukhona esisebenzisa i-dolomitic lime. Uyawazi i-powder. Kuthiwa yini lime ngesiZulu? Umcaba. Okay. So ungayisebenzisa i-lime, uyithathe nje imvuthu, it's powder. Uyifake, it will balance. Even ama-farmers, crop farmers know they balance their soil pH with the lime. But in cases where uthola ukuthi man it's too alkaline, then kumele uyehlise ize down. That's where you can incorporate ama food sources are acidic now, so that uzoyehlisa from being alkaline. Khona izinto enjengo seaweed that you can put inside there, uyehlisa from alkaline, uyehlisa izokwazi ukuthi ibalance kahle. But those cases are very rare. We've never also had that case ourselves. Yes. right nge-pH, I understand. Yes. Then bese kube salt content. Salt content asinayo instrument yokutest salt content. Bakhona-ke that have attended training that shared how they test the salt content. Akhona kahle ama-instrument ukuthi we never had a case where you have to test for 810. So izinto salt water or seaweed, it can be used as feed as well. But-ke ama-worms-ke kukhona angakuthandi-ke lapho. So the most, when it comes to salt content, awuyidingi ukuthi ibe high. So lapho salt content, how to solve the problem with salt content is your pre-composting again. Go to pre-composting. The more you put water in your manure, you leach out those salts. That is the easiest way, other than just you buying an instrument that you don't necessarily need. And then sibe ne-urine content. For example, umquba, no one noma isiphi isilwane usuke une-urine, usuke unomchamo basically. So that it's toxic. Ama-worms are very sensitive, isikhumba sawo. So worms don't like that. Again, pre-composting is the key as well. So you need to leach that out. So that's why you can't take fresh manure ufake laphana phakathi kuma-worms. You can try that as well. Ufake nje ama-worms amancane. You will see for yourself ukuthi kwenzakalani. Uzobona nangendlela epaquza ngayo. Yes, they wriggle, but awaphaphile. Move njengama-night crawlers or the candidate crawlers, they don't move like move nje kahle. Most of them move fast, kusho ukuthi something is irritating i-skin sabo. And then bese kuba khona ama-toxic components. This one is very much important. Toxic components, oqala sikhuluma ngawo lapho ama-deworming medicine. Yalizwe lela gama uthi lithini, deworming. That means we are killing everything that is a worm. Whether ma-red wrigglers noma ama-worms akunikeza imali, that thing kills everything, a worm. Kuma livestock farmers, I think usisa ngasitshela kangcono, kunesikhathi la kusuke kwenziwa khona i-deworming, kubulawa ama-worms la ku-digestive system of livestock. So khona imithi esebenzisayo, ama-vaccines asuke esetshenziswa lapho. Everything that is a worm dies makuwa lokhuzana leyanto leyana. So ngesikhathi inkomo ikhipha umquba ne, ikhipha umquba uthothi mhlambe these vaccines or these medicines are still active laphana. So if you take that ufake straight to your worms, your 10 kg dies instantly. Yeah. So you need to have a relationship with your source of your manure. Umbuzo ukuthi when did you do your deworming? The medicine that you use for deworming, how long does it take for it to die off emqubeni? That's why umquba omdala preferably. Yes. Also nasemqubeni weingulube as well. Angithi ingulube uma ngabe secleanwa isilari ufike kufakwe imithi yakhona ukuze kunganuki, and then they clean everything. Mase be clean konke and then kuhambe kuya kwisilari. Khona umshini wakhona obizwa nge-separator that extract wonke lawo amanzi bese kusala that umquba womile ne. But ngesikhathi bewucleana khona izinto abayifaka laphana, and then bacleana everything. So those things uma uthatha lo mquba futhi ufresh unjalo ufaka in your worms or ufaka ama-worms kuwo, it will kill your worms again. Toxic components, it's very much important. So uma umquba moya kuwo uyawuthatha lo mquba owanini, uma umusha pre-compost it, uma umdala sometimes you don't have to pre-compost it. Thatha ama-worms akho amancane uzame ngawo wafake nje phezulu uma ubone ngena happy. Most of the time, this is what you will find. This is, in fact, we had a case just now. Owafona wangisendela ithombe wathi yazi kade ngiqala pre-composting yami khona ama-worms asekhona phakathi, angaze ngithenge worms asekhona already phakathi. I told him ukuthi I won't say ukuthi wona ama-red wrigglers because we're not sure, since I'm not there to even check. So, but ngamtshela ukuthi that is a good sign ukuthi umquba wakho is ready, because if that type of a worm can live there, this means even this type of a worm can live. So your pre-composting is actually done. You don't have to do anything. Low mqubu right. Ama-worms they will always find an environment. You will be surprised that they travel, even though they move very slow. But an travel la, ayoshona lapana ehlahleni if they don't like the environment here. Ebusuku. Yeah, uzwabona. They travel. In fact, kuyenzeka lapha eplazini sinama beds ahlukene kanje. There is a set of a bed like this, there is a set of a bed like this. So mangabe sifuna ukwa harvest, remember ukuthi ama-worms they live from environment engekho right to environment right. So mase sifuna ukwa move la, we make sure that this environment is not right. And then we make sure that this environment here is right. They will move kuso lesi space. It takes them just a week move as ngala wonke. Then sesiyakwazi ukuharvesta yonke leyo compost le. Simple as that. So the way to move them is to create an environment that is not right, basically. That's how you harvest. That is the simplest way of harvesting your compost. Mawukuthi angithi yazi ama-worms afuna that's 60 to 85% moisture content. So sivele siye ku-irrigator lo mbhede lo. Sasa irrigate lo kuphela. Awatsheli, awumemeza azoyimuvela to that one. They know. Ayemove. Ngisho makuthiwa imbhede iqhelelene ngempela they will move. Remember we said also they choose singithatha i-harvesting. They choose self-sufficiency and self-management as well. Noma amanzi angaba khona kubo 85% moisture, ukudla kwangaba khona, kwaba khona lapha, they will move again. So what you, even with your bed, a portion of your bed, you can feed just here. Ufite nje la uyeke yonke lenye indawo. Wonke la ama-worms azosuka ezela. Then you can harvest that compost. Also mawusu nawo wonke ela, then i-concentration yayo iningi la sekulula even ukuharvesta wona uvela ufaka isandla nje uphume nawo, then you weigh them, then you sell them. Simple as that. Ikhona ke imshini ke unfortunately umshini esinawo use Richmond, iplaza lise Richmond, but ke mhlambe niyoke nisivakashele nase Richmond eplazini nizobona imshini esisemisayo for ama-worms. Khona ukuharvest i-compost, ukhona umshini oharvest ama-worms wona, ukhona oharvesta yonke into. Ekuqaleni I-touched ukuthi kunama-processes awu-3, do we remember? I-vermiculture, i-vermicomposting, ne-worm tea brewing. Akhona ama-farmers adayisa amaqanda, ama-worm, the cocoons. But you need a very specialized machine for that. Ukhona umshini nje oharvesta yonke into, but it's super expensive and we don't have it in Africa, unfortunately. Yes. Yes, so izinto njengama-detergent, cleaner, industrial chemicals, pesticides as well. You need to be really careful about it. So you don't just take umquba and then ufake nje. And then bese kuba khona izinto ezi-natural, like laba abasebenzisa ama-leaves, abathanda ukusebenzisa ama-leaves, for example, or whatever that is natural ongayithatha from crops or plants. Khona izihlahla ukuthi zi-secreta or zi-excreta ama-chemicals that are toxic naturally nje. Izihlahla ukuthi mosithintile nje uba nenkinga. Also most uthatha ama-leaves azo ufake embhedeni wama-worms, it's a problem again. Yes. So yeah, basically that is your toxic components. Is right? So in this case, other parameters, you are looking at your pH. It should range from 9 to 5. You are looking at your salt content, which shouldn't go less than 5%. Parasmina our instrument. We tester. The best way to control it, pre-composting. Leach your compost with water. Let me touch on water again. Amanzi ongawasebenzisa. Yabo amanzi makade ehambile. Lawa kamasipala sikhuma amanzi kamasipala. Mabe esebuya semhlophe egcwele chlorine, you can't use that again in your worm bed. You can't put that in your worm bed. They don't like chlorine. Wayeke wathathe wabeke for 24 hours, then you can use it. Awe bohole right awumfula right awuna nkinga. Yes. But maka abuya avele emhlophe nje ungawathinti. Yes. And then sakhuluma about the salt content as well. Ukuthi kuyenzeka kube no salt abala in your manures or in your feedstock. We call it feed or feedstock or manures vanilla. So again, the best way to control that, pre-composting again. And then you start sikhuluma about toxic components, detergents, your deworming, medicines and all of that. See right, see clear. So now you can see it's not just putting worms and just, yeah, it's actually farming of worms. That's why I said you're a livestock farmer, farmer worms. A very high value livestock farmer. Then akhona ama threats to ama-worms. Ubabuke wabuza uthi hey lezi none laphana. Yona mhlambe ziziphi ezinye izinto which I have touched ekuqaleni, intuthwane your slugs, ama-raccoons, kuningi khona nongakwazi lapha ngine-show. But nje yabo lawa amagundane and the mole as well. Sayazi mole? Yes. Yes, I think imole imvukuzana. Yes. A mole, ama-rats, ama-reptiles, siyawazi ama-reptiles. Yes, everything that falls under the family of ama-reptiles. Contact with bank. Yeah, things like this. Yes, into kanjalo. Now yawadla ama-worms kabi. So nje izinto ey'kanjalo, maggots as well, we touch on ama-maggots. That's why you can't put in fresh food there, because impukane izobeka iqanda before ibe impukane iqala ibe maggot. So you don't want maggots as well. Ama-maggots, they don't necessarily eat ama-worms or kill ama-worms. Most of these things, they don't eat ama-worms except for amagundane. They dive in and have a dinner there. But these things, they compete with your worms for lawa essentials for the same oxygen, the same food, the same everything. So when zolokhu fit, lokhu the lama worms ayadla ashesha. Our reproduce, our khuli, but ukudla kuyaphela. It's those things ezilaphana empedeni wakho. However, a worm bed is an ecosystem of many insects. Khona ama insects owadingayo lapha phakathi kuma they help your worms to compost your material. In fact, there are composting insects that compost in 6 times faster than ama worms. Yes. Khona ama-maggots ozowathola yabona these ones, if your environment is right, you will find them there. Kunje ngesibungu nje. Kuqala kungathi kuyi-maggot, but mase kukhula it's enye inhlobo yempukane sengikhohliwe, but I will remember it. Angithi sithethe na i-worm idla its own body weight ngosuku on ideal conditions. That mpukane i-maggot yakhona, it eats its own body weight ngosuku 25 times. So it composts faster than a worm. So it's there to help your composting, I mean to say, ukuthi sheshe. So khona izinto ey'dingayo lapha phakathi. Khona uthi uma ufaka isandla ufuna ukuyibona, I know. There's some things that I want to see. Izinto enjengo-spider mites. Ama-mites maningi-ke, but the spider mite is very good at one. Khona le, asincinzani lesa spider, kwathi kuyi-spider, kodwa ngathi kunesinqe esimhlophe. Mhlawumbe uzokubona nje in your worm bed, you need that as well. Maningi ama-insects that you will find inside. It's an ecosystem. It's only in human beings where you will find very specific people endaweni ethize bebodwa. In nature it doesn't exist because yonke into ine-purpose yayo. So it's not only worms, but uma ngabe sekukuningi then ama-worms, then it's a problem ke. Kusho ukuthi you no longer fana nomuntu onokhulu oluningi kunamakabishi. You might as well just be a wheat farmer. Yes. So, but the only way to neutralize indaba yama-pest, the problem for our pest, is to make sure that when you build your worm bed, you build it right, and also you manage it right. One thing that I can tell you, uma ngabe kwaba too dry or noma kwaba dry, intuthwane zosondela. Intuthwane ihlala endaweni emanzi. Kwa dry nje, it's a sign. Yabo wabona intuthwane, it's a sign ukuthi your bed is dry. Ziyasondela intuthwane. I don't know ukuthi ziwezwa kanjani ama-worms. And akuyona noma iphi nje inhlobo yentuthwane, it's the red ones. Wathola seyibambile i-worm, iyobhaqoza izishona. So you don't want that as well. So you need to make sure ukuthi also your worm farm or your worm bin, most of some bins or your worm beds are secured. Thina yethu siyayimboza futhi ngoplastic ngaphezulu, but sebenzisa nama-blocks as well ukhanda i-embed. That farm esimbone kwi-video sebenzisa steel, there is steel, but steel is more expensive than ama-blocks. But you can use wood, you can use steel, or you can use concrete. There are disadvantages and advantages as well. I don't want to bombard you with a lot of information. Sizocover exen local, sesithinta ama-fitting systems on how to build your structure kahle. Yes. If uzofaka ama-food scraps, let's say you decide to put your food scraps in there, you don't bokashi them, you don't recommend it. So you need to cover them. The reason why sifaka lela point laphana ukuthi khona ama-domestic farmers awafakayo kuma-worm bins wayo, ama-food scraps are fresh. They do that. But kumele uwa-coverishe so that intuthwane ingakwazi ukusmell ukuthi no, there is something inside there. But on a commercial scale nje, we don't recommend it at all. Yes. So now let us look at building your worm farm or your worm bed. There are different types of structures. Our two is focus kuona. Ama structures unama disadvantages akhona nama advantages akhona. Masikhuluma ngama-structures, sikhuluma ngendlela i-structure sakho esimi ngayo. Esokuqala that we have i-pit method. Masikhuluma ngama-structures, sikhuluma ngama-methods. So those are your methods of building your structure. We have i-pit method. I-pit method, ubone leya video ade siyibuka. Angithi umbhede wakho umbhede kanje. It's a pit, wakhe umgodi but artificial basically. It's a pit method, angithi pit umgodi. So in India, in fact, it's a concept that comes from India. In India, uthola ama farmers avele amba phansi. Enza yes, ama trench, yes. So that pit method, it comes from India. So yes, but uyakwazi ukhanda your own. Thina sebenzisa ama blocks, wakha nje umbhede wakho ngama blocks, and then we build that pit. It's a pit method. Nama disadvantages, nama advantages akhona. The first one, a pit method, it is costly because you need the material to build the structure. That farmer body steel, basically, and umbhede wakho elevated unenyawo, so bonil. So that is costly. And also, a pit method, it is less aerated. I think that's in bonil ukuthi oxygen engena lapha iyangena because I mean vulekile, but incane other than just indawo evulekile. So it is less aerated. However, izokunikeza i-stress esincane when it comes to management. Because uma ufake umquba wakho lapha ngeke uthole usubhidlikile usomngenye indlela endle ukuthi une-structure esiwubambile. And also it is more protective than le enye method engizoyisho because ngibonile lapha igundane ngelingene lapha. Yes. Igundane ngelize lingene lapha intuthwane uziyofika le stairs. Noma kuthiwa umbhede wakho is not elevated, awunazo inyawo uphansi nje, but uma uprotected uvalekile, it's better than just lenye imethod engizoyisho. But sizoyibona nakhona futhi izithombe zakhona zama methods. So understand the pit method? Yes. And then we have the windrow method. The windrow method, ayikho material oyisebenzisayo ukhanda structure lapha. Ayikho into oyisebenzisayo. Into oyenzayo unithatha umquba wakho, uthela nje phansi, wenza nje umbhede omuhle. Ngicathi ubaba beke wafika eplazini, uke wabona. Wenza nje umbhede, uvethatha umquba wakho uthele nje, and then unikeze i-shape nje kahle, ube shape. Awufaki blocks akho insimbi akho lutho. It's an open thing, and then ufaka ama-worms akho. Awabaleki ama-worms, akudingi ukuthi uwavaleke. Remember, you're a good farmer, awayi phansi. However, noma wona angeze ukuya phansi, kodwa khona ama-worms angaqhamuka phansi angena embhedeni wakho. So uma uwakho umbhede wakho, you need, it's either concrete or you need to lay a plastic first. Yabona plastic lo ukwakha? Yes, uqala ubeke wona mawunganawo concrete. If we concrete omusha ama-worms awayithandi concrete, ne? If we concrete omusha, just newly laid concrete, at least ngathi ukulinda kancane. Yabona lapho ngicathi ngiyenizwe makusanda kufakwa i-floor phansi that ama-worms awayithandi, that is very toxic. So ungathi ukulinda, and also for safety purposes ufake uplastic noma unayo concrete. Yes. And then bese uyafaka, and then uthele nje umquba wakho, i-bed yakho, you give it a shape. That is a windrow method. It is cheap. Akho blocks uthengile, akho steel, akho khuni olifakile, there is nothing oyifakile. But the problem of it is more prone to ama-threats. Kondane ngangena nominini, especially if ukwenza lokho outdoors, ngaphandle makuvalelekile kanje kusendlini. And then you lay, sizoyibuka futhi nakhona ivideo yakhona. And then you lay your beds kanjalo, then ikundane ngelize lingene ngaphakathi endlini unless kunembobo ekhona. And also njengeintuthwane. Another thing, keep your worm farm very tidy. It must be clean always. People you work with or yourself uma ngabe udla makuchitheka i-rice phansi uyalicosha, because that's what attracts intuthwane. So keep it like as in clean. So i-windrow method, it is cheap. Ayikho i-material udingayo ukuze ukwakhe structure, ngoba i-structure sakho umquba vela. Ayikho enye into oyenzayo lapha. And then bese kuba it is more aerated than i-pit method. Angithi akuvalekanga kuvulekile, so mningi nje umoya ongenayo la. Mningi umoya ongenayo. There is an advantage, but it is more prone to ama-threats lawana, lawa ama-worms. Those are the two methods that we have for our structures. It's a pit method and a windrow method. So masikhuluma ngama-methods, sikhuluma ngama-structures basically. With structure sakho simi kanjani. And then we have systems. Ama-systems ke awu-2 nakhona. Masikhuluma ama methods sikhuluma ngama structure ukuthi structure sakho simi kanjani. Masikhuluma ngama systems sikhuluma about how do you fit your feeding system or how you set up your worm your feeding system, not necessarily your structure now but how you feed ama worms akho ne. Ekuqaleni I did highlight I continuous flow system ngase ngisho ukuthi khona ne batch system. So I continuous flow system, this is how worms behave. Ama worms let's say mhlambe umbhede wakho wama worms it's this deep njengale banner le. You can see ne. We said lama worms esofamayo most of the time they azohlala la just in 10 centimeter of the depth of your bed. Unless if the environment is not right here, then as a mover, they will always seek the environment right. Even though it's not their natural nature to live so as of the continuous flow system, this is how it works again. That video that we saw, it's a continuous flow system. Ayithi ngibonile khona ubuzile ukuthi ubona kuphuma icompost lapha ngaphansi ba harvesta ngaphansi. We saw that, right? So into eyenzakalayo ama worms ufika afake agcwalisa umbhede wakhe omngaka and then afaka ama worms. Ama worms noma uthole ukuthi ke okay athi ngingaqoba lama example. Afaka ama worms la. Ama worms angithi ahlala la ku 10 centimeters. Ama worms azodla yonke lento ela. Uma ngabe ngasekho ukudla enza njani ama worms? They move down, right? Une compost ephelele lapha esi ready to be harvested, ne? So ngesikhathi move ama worms yena uzo scrape out layer compost lapha. We understand? The ama worms they remain kulo 10 cm wesibili. So understand? Azoyisebenza la material ama worms ayiqede ibe compost kuphele kwakudla phinde enze njani? Emove, ne? Angithi ngesikhathi move umbhede uba empty. Ngesikhathi uba empty wenza njani? Uyafita ngesikhathi efita abuyela kuphi phezulu. Yes, so kuya ngokuthi ke I continuous flow system iya ngokuthi u harvester kuphi at the top or at the bottom. So if you harvester at the top, most cases what you will find ukuthi umuntu ufika agcwalisa umbhede kanje ne, and then ama worms awafake azodla laphana harvest lokho ama worms amove adlela harvest lokho uzuphele umbhede. Lo harvester at the top, most of the time the logic is mhlambe umbhede mawumngaka ne uzowafaka harvester at the bottom now. Low harvester at the top I think it's clear because ama worms they move down. Low harvester at the bottom ama worms they move up. So uma ngabe enombhede omngaka ne uthatha uqale ngematerial engaka phansi embhedeni wakhe ufaka imaterial engaka wafaka ama worms ayidla leya material ne, then uyaqala ngithi yena ukuthi in 2 months time phelile lokho akudla for example, and then add imaterial entsha or ifeed entsha ne, ayithi ama worms asedlile lokho kulezansi, then they will move up to the new feed, and then le ezansi usene compost ready. Ingakho ke sibone kwi video yakhe iphuma ngaphansi. It's a continuous flow system but no harvester ngaphansi. So yena uma ngabe harvester ngaphansi you feed on top. Yes, you feed on top. So ama worms will move up and up ngezansi usala ne compost, and then leya mbhede leyana sizoyibuka ivideo yakho ukuthi ikhandwa kanjani. Ine screen ngaphansi osivulayo kuphume yonke le compost ready, then kusale le engathi ayikho ke ready. So Masukuma ama systems, there is a continuous flow system. It means you feed now and then, depending actually where do you harvest, whether you harvest at the top or at the bottom. And then bese siba ne batch system. A batch system ithi you set everything once, awuphinde ufeed, you feed once. Ama worms akho ne compost yakho uyozukubona lesikhathi uharvest. Njengathi nje khanda umbhede wama worms sifaka umquba phakathi, sifaka ama worms. Yonke into as-harvest lutho thina. So into enzakalayo so harvest ama worms ngalesikhathi harvesta ne compost yethu at the same time. So let's singalokho si feed njalo. If ukuthi iworm eyodwa idla u1 kg ngosuku ngiyalinganisa. Let's say a worm weighs 1 kg and is it in ideal condition, a worm will eat ibody weight yayo ne. So if ngosuku idla u1 kg ama worms and I'm going to keep them for 30 days, that means mangukhanda umbhede wami from the start mele ngifake feed ezonela for the 30 days. Kanti loyana doesn't need to do that ngoba uzobuyela ukhe faka ifeed. Uzobuyela ukhe faka ifeed. You understand? So thina masukhanda umbhede wethu masifaka u10 kgs wama-worms on a 3-meter bed, and then we put maybe 35 bags of pig manure or 55 bags of cattle manure, that will last out for 2 months. Done. Asibuye sifeed. Into esenza ukufaka amanzi, check pH and all of that. That is the simplest way of doing it.
Ngayo ku-training nakutholile ukuthi ama-worms akhuliswa kanjani, kusebenziswa uNkulunkulu ukuze aqhubele phambili. Umuntu uphatheke kahle i-training ngendlela ngayo kusasa kuyobonakala ukuthi uyavala.
It's been a fruitful afternoon, and I've been equipped with a lot of information ebengingacabanga ukuthi izinto esiyinakayo as abantu, ukuthi something as small as worms can affect your business, can produce so much ukuthi wenze ibhizinisi elingakhula as fast as they explained to us.
Ngitholile ukuthi ama-worms akhuliswa kanjani, i-bedding yawo siyenza kanjani, nokuthi uthisha-ke okuningi sizokwenza kahle kusasa, ama-practical sizokwenza kahle kusasa. So ngiyabonga kakhulu.
After this training, in fact, that's how excited I am. That's how much training evokes the excitement. You literally see it happening. You want to do it.